Hey, I'm Kristin,
And I'm Ashley.
and this is Locked in a Closet.
Join us as we tell each other stories of true crime, the paranormal, urban legends, and all things spooky. Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Hello. How are
How's
you?
it going? I'm good. I'm feeling as good as a gray day can make you feel.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna
Definitely.
say it, to our listeners, the podcast feels like it's got a different vibe. It's because we have someone who's vaccinated on now.
Yeah, look at me. I'm important.
Yeah. It's a safe space, half now, half
Yeah.
is a safe space.
We're like a quarter of the way there because I'm only half
Yeah.
vaccinated, but whatever. Yeah,
Oh, it's so exciting.
exciting. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's great. I
Uh,
didn't think that it was going to happen nearly as fast as it did because I went
No
on the
kidding.
Ottawa Public Health website like last week, 2 weeks ago. Probably, I think it was last week. Because my mom told me that since we work like in a medical field, then we can pre-register. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, great. So I did that thinking I'd get a call in like, I don't know, July.
Couple months. Yeah.
And they called me on Saturday last week and they're just like, hey, like, I just calling to like get you booked in. Like, have you been here before? And I was like, no. What's
Wow.
happening? She's like, when do you want to come in? And I was like, I don't know. When do you
Today?
want me to come in? I was like, I'm free Monday to Wednesday next week. She's like, okay, Monday morning, come in. And I was like, okay. So I went and I did it. And
I wouldn't have believed her. I'd been like, this Monday, right? Like, just to confirm.
yeah. And like, I'm already booked for my second dose in July too. So
That's awesome.
yeah, it was definitely worth checking to see if you're eligible. Like if you have
if you work in any sort of medical field, go and pre-register if you can. Like,
yeah.
it's awesome. I mean, I'm glad that they're taking anyone who works in any sort of medical care seriously and getting you guys vaccinated first. Like, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's very exciting. I'm still like, what's happening?
Like, I feel like you look different. Like, you've got this glow, a healthy glow.
Vaccinated glow.
Exactly. I'm jealous.
Yeah, no, it's great though. I couldn't believe it. I haven't really, I mean, today I feel okay. My arm's just like a little bit sore, but the day of I was like completely wiped out. I had to nap. I took like a 2.5 hour nap in the afternoon.
I feel like
I was exhausted.
Every time I get a shot, I'm like that. Even the flu shot. Like every time we've traveled, we go and get like all of the shots we need.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly like that. Like, oh God, when we got I think it was a tetanus shot.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, it was the rabies shot because I hadn't had it or it was expired. That one, oh my God, that hurt so bad. And my arm was like so swollen. And I just went and slept for the whole day because those ones are brutal. And then you have to go get a booster for it. And I was not looking forward to that.
God. Yeah,
but now I can't get rabies, so we're good.
Well, good.
Yeah.
It's really helpful when you don't leave your house right now.
I know.
The actual needle like didn't hurt at all. Like I didn't even feel like going in or anything. So that was nice because I'm not the biggest fan of needles.
Neither am I.
I know you probably can't tell because I'm covered in tattoos, but I don't love needles.
It's different.
It is different.
I tell myself that
like,
at least.
It's just like surface level. But anyway, yeah, like I didn't even feel it. I was at the hospital for like 20 minutes. Like it was super well organized. It was great. Awesome. I was tired the same day and like a little bit the next day, but I'm also just like a sleepy girl. So
I know I'm like a sloth. So it's like I don't know if that would be the vaccine or just me.
If it was the vaccine or if it was just like I didn't get 9 hours of sleep last night. Like, I don't know. But anyway, I feel fine now. Like my arm's just a little bit sore to like raise more than like where my shoulder is. But I mean,
worth that. I think.
Yeah. Literally give me any.
Yeah, that's so. I feel like despite how bad Canada is rolling out vaccinations, I actually know quite a few people like you, my sister-in-law, because she works in a hospital. Actually, my grandpa just got vaccinated the same day you did in BC. Yeah, he's of the age that's of the thing. He was saying though, apparently like where they got vaccinated, you drive in your car and they just like come up to your window.
Oh, really?
And a few cars, like he said, a few cars ahead of him had to like either they were having like panic attacks or like having second thoughts and had to like pull out of the line, which I'm like, no, those are wasted.
You're so close.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a bummer. Yeah, we're getting there. I mean, it's definitely it's nice to feel like something's happening,
It's starting, like you said, it's starting to kind of feel like the end of it.
Yeah, the beginning
in
of
a way.
End.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a slow progress, but there's a light. I see a pinprick of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. We need it. Like, I'm so over it. Lockdowns, not lockdowns, restrictions.
I know.
Can't see your family.
I think this is something, not that I'm going to miss, but I really, once this is all over and the world's back to normal, cross our fingers, I'm going to miss having that being excuse of not wanting to hang out.
Oh my God, I know. It's so nice that you don't have to come up with excuses right now.
I know. It's not that I don't like people I want to hang out with or my friends or whatever. It's just like, I'm such a homebody. I'm such an antisocial piece of shit that right now it's like a golden ticket. Get out of jail free card.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, obviously we don't want people to be dying. We don't want people sick.
No.
But not leaving my house for a year.
Exactly.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe by the time it's all done, we'll be like itching for social interaction.
Oh, I know. No, next thing it'll be like, I'll just start blaming the COVID on, the fact that I have agoraphobia now. Like, sorry, because of COVID,
you'll be able to be
house.
Like, oh, sorry, I have a baby. Like, I can't.
Yeah, that's true. My new scapegoat.
It's a great excuse.
Although I would rather have to come up with an excuse. Let's just say that.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not a monster.
Yeah. No, we're not. We're definitely not happy that COVID exists, but there are perks to lockdowns.
I mean, you got to find some pros when the con list is 2 miles long.
Exactly.
Just to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
Another pro / con, because I'll tell you the story, is like, obviously working from home and how that's kind of revolutionizing the workforce and everything is great. And like, I think more things that could be Zoom calls are now being Zoom calls rather than like in-person meetings, except for, so I got a call the other day from the hospital that I'm going to give birth at. And I have an appointment with them at the end of April. So I was like, oh, it's a little early for them to be calling me. Cause it's like March 30th. And they were just like confirming the appointment, and they wanted to set up another appointment like a few days before that one with like a nurse. And she's like, and it's going to be a video call. And I was like, cool. Okay. And she's like, okay, so right now I'm going to email you the link, and I need you to click on that link. And once I see you, I can confirm that your like video works. And I was like,
you can't do this to somebody last minute.
Right. I was like, like the meeting wasn't happening. She just wanted to set up the video and make sure it worked. And I was like, you want me to turn on my video right at this moment?
Oh, no.
And it was like middle of the day. I'm not working. I'm very pregnant and I'm not caring about what I look like. And I was like rat's nest of like a hair bun in pajamas, no bra. Like, so I'm like taking out my hair, like trying to stall, and I'm like fluffing it up, and I'm like clicking the link, and I had like bags under my eyes because I have not been sleeping. I was like, oh, we're going to do this right now. All right.
Immediately with no warning. Great. Exactly. I'm sure she's seen worse though. My God.
Oh, and it wasn't as bad. Like I took a screenshot and I sent it to my friends and I told them the story, and they're like, oh, you look fine. I'm like, it's just the precedent, Like,
yeah, you can't do that to somebody.
You can't just video call somebody.
Oh my God.
Middle of the day when they're supposed to be dressed.
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah. Yikes. It was mortifying.
That's just so rude.
Yeah, I was like, do you have to see me? Like, can I point it to the floor?
Can you just know that I have a camera that works? Or exactly. Just put on your dogs. Like, oh
yeah. I should have just like pointed it down, but
yeah.
I don't like video calling being that wave of future where people just video call you.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I've never understood that. Like, people just like FaceTime their friends all the time. Yeah. And I'm like,
it's like a Gen Z thing.
Literally never FaceTime my friends. Like, never.
No.
I don't get it.
I stare too much at myself.
I know, it's weird, like not to.
Yeah.
I don't know. You have to like train yourself not to, but
exactly.
They'll never know.
Whatever. All right. So
we get into this.
Let's get into it. Lake monsters.
Yeah. You can go first this week.
Yeah, I think it's me this week, isn't it? So we followed through. We did do lake monsters, everybody.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Being responsible.
Exactly. Sticking to our word. So I'm doing the Ogopogo from BC.
Good old Ogopogo. That's what Michael and I call it.
Sometimes people call it like Augie.
Oh yeah, I've heard that too.
I don't call it Augie. Ogopogo is just kind of fun to say.
It is fun to say.
Yeah. So my sources are a bbc.com article written by Lisa Cadane, a tourismkelowna.com article written by Justin DeMerchant, a website called lakemonstermysteries.wordpress.com, an off-track travel web article written by Gemma, and Wikipedia, of course.
Always
goes without saying. Yeah, so I'm covering the infamous lake monster called the Ogopogo, said to be found in Okanagan Lake, which is located in the beautiful city of Kelowna, BC. I think anyone from BC would be familiar with the story of the Ogopogo. It's kind of like almost a rite of passage. It's definitely something I grew up hearing and learning about, and the town of Kelowna itself, like, used to back then flaunt it. Like, it used to be very much part of their like tourism. They actually have like statues everywhere throughout the town of like what they think the Ogopogo looks like. Cool. Yeah, it's really cute. Yeah, it's very much part of their identity and like their tourism. But they don't need like tourism in Kelowna or like even anywhere in the Okanagan Valley, because like
I feel like it's beautiful.
It is so beautiful, and it's like the like popular like cottage cabin like lake house destination. Like that's where everyone from like Vancouver basically owns a second home and goes up there for like the summers.
Right.
It's kind of like, I would say I would compare it kind of like to like the Muskoka region out here, where it's just like, because like I think pretty famous people own cabins in like the Muskoka region and stuff too, right? Like
probably, I have no idea.
$1 million houses. I don't know. I've never been.
I've only lived here my whole life. I don't know.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's kind of started off more as like this like lake house town, and now it's like a literal city. Like it's huge.
Right.
They've got like a university and everything.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Okanagan Lake is a very large and very deep lake. The lake itself is about 135 kilometers or 84 miles long, just to give the Americans
our 3 American listeners.
Hi, how you doing? Howdy. And it's between 4 and 5 kilometers or 2.5 and 3.1 miles wide. And it has a surface area of 348 kilometers squared for math nerds.
That one of you that is listening, and that is my husband.
Who can do the math and understand.
Yeah, exactly.
The only reason I know like square footage is in approximation to our old condo, because our old condo was like 900 square feet. So like if anyone told me something was it like 400 square feet or like 1,200 square feet, I could kind of approximate it by using our old condo.
That's so funny. Yeah, I'm clueless when it comes to square feet. Like I literally have no idea. I'm so happy that Michael's like smart.
I know, same with Jeff.
Because I'm like, you could just tell me what the answers are.
I used to be sad because I used to be like very smart in math and physics. I don't know what happened.
Probably just didn't need it anymore. So
no, it just
it's gone.
Got replaced with stupid things. So it's apparently what's called a fjord lake because it was carved out by repeated glaciations. So yeah, it was basically carved out from glaciers back in the day.
Okay.
And it's very deep in certain parts. Like this means it can be like really deep just offshore. So like cliffs and stuff, or like it doesn't have like gradual beach slopes that a lot of lakes do because it was just like carved by. Okay. Yeah. Apparently the lake has a maximum depth of 232 meters or 761 feet, whichever you want to choose to use. But at some points, apparently it can actually be up to 750 meters or 2,460 feet deep due to what's called post-glacial sediment fill. So the way I can describe this is basically it means it's kind of like there's a false bottom because there's a bottom, but because the sediment isn't like hard or solid, it's almost like a quicksand. Like you could probe it to measure. And often this like sediment or is like usually fine silt or like rocks or boulders. Like, it just basically means the lake is technically deeper than certain parts. Yeah. But like no one could actually probably get down there. Yeah. So the Okanagan, which is actually the name for the entire like region around Kelowna and like the Okanagan Lake area, kind of has its own like special climate. Like we were saying, it's very warm. And it's BC in general, it's kind of unique because it's one province and we have like, you start on the west side and you've got like the ocean and then the temperate rainforest. And then all you need to do is just drive like a few hours inland and it's like, boom, full on dry Californian desert. Like it's so weird. And so that's what often like the Okanagan is compared to is California, because that's like where the wine country is in BC, because that's where like you can actually grow grapes for wine there.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, so it's just like this perfect little like warm oasis surrounded by dry desert and like rocky bluffs. It's a weird little place, but I love it. So that's a bit on the background of the lake in the region, just to get an idea of like what we're dealing with. It's not like what you think about BC being like wet and rainy and treed all the time. So it's a gorgeous place. We would go camping there like all the time growing up, like almost every summer. We'd go to the lake or around the area. But I don't have any of my own Ogopogo stories, unfortunately.
Bummer.
I know. And it's not for a lack of trying. Like literally anytime we were at the lake, I would just be staring into the water, just like hoping.
I'm going to see it today. I'm going to see it.
Like just an obsession being like, and we would go boating on the lake. At one time we even rented like skidoos. So I was like driving, or I don't know, maybe I was holding on. I would just stare into the water beside me. I don't know why I wanted to see anything, because I'm deeply terrified.
Yeah, like you'd never go there again.
No. I just wanted my own story.
Just make one up.
Exactly. All right, so getting into it. So long before the Europeans arrived, I'm going to, with all due respect to this nation, I really hope I get the name at least close right.
I have one of those in mind too, and I'm really nervous to say it.
And I apologize if it's wrong. I did look up a few videos of pronunciation, so this is my best attempt at it. The Syilx Nation, First Nations people, the Syilx. It's Syilx. Okay. So, and then I looked up a few videos, and that's kind of how they were saying it. So they inhabited the land, obviously, before we came around. So the story of this like lake monster was long around before like Loch Ness fever wiped the world kind of thing. So so in their culture, you know, there was this respect for nature and the importance of water. So to them, the Ogopogo was actually referred to as, and here's my another attempt at pronunciation, Nihaha Iku. And the spelling on that is like wild. It's like a lot of X's. But basically, in their language, it means the sacred spirit of the lake. So a quote from the BBC article that I read reads, "To them, it existed in two forms, a spiritual form and a physical form, which was embodied by the lake itself. Sometimes, though, the spirit would reveal itself from within the lake." And it's meant to be said that they believe the spirit wasn't a monster, like it wasn't this lake monster that we kind of talk about. But to them, it was something that was meant to protect the lake, like a guardian almost. Their version of the spirit described the being as being very dark in color, with a body like a serpent and a head that looked more like a horse with like antlers.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, a real big horse-shaped head. People believe that the whole idea that this lake monster came about was from when the early settlers saw the Syilx people giving offerings of salmon, tobacco, and sage to the Nihaha Iku by tossing the offerings into the water. For them, it was meant to be like a thank you to the lake for providing them the food and water, and not a sacrifice to appease like a bloodthirsty lake monster. Okay. But of course, white man's gonna white man and misunderstand.
Shocking.
Yeah. We always turn things dark.
Yeah.
So, however, this misunderstanding turned it into almost a witch hunt, because they assumed now that there was a lake monster. So like men would literally patrol the lakes with like guns and spears and stuff, like God, just in case the beast attacked. And then of course the settlers then began spinning these like legends of and tales of like the beast that required a small animal sacrifice before crossing or entering the water. And one of the stories was basically that like if you didn't provide an offering, it would like whip up the surface of the lake with its long tail and like create this whirlpool and like suck you in, and just like you'd be gone. Oh my. Never to be seen again. Yeah. So one version of this story that kind of perpetuated that was passed down about a young visiting chief who decided the spirit wasn't real and did not offer a sacrifice to it. When he and his family then entered the lake on a canoe, the monster sucked the canoe and the family to the bottom of the lake using its tail whirlpool spin move. And they were never seen again. So I have a hard time believing that one because I feel like with especially Indigenous people, like they have a respect for each other's culture and like beliefs and customs. Like they wouldn't just be like, no,
yeah,
I don't believe you. Yeah. But who knows? Like, and I'm sure this was just like something the Europeans came up with.
Again, so shocking.
Yeah, exactly. So then, of course, over the years, like these tales spun out of control. And then like with sightings and stuff, like the folklore kind of flourished and then like even songs were written about it. And then apparently that's where the Ogopogo name came from, was from an old English folk song from the 1920s. And the lyrics that coined the term was, his mother was an earwig, his father was a whale, a little bit of head and hardly a tail, and Ogopogo was his name. So not sure where they came up with that.
I want to know how that sounded as a song.
I know. I tried. I think it was on Wikipedia, but it was like, I listened to it and it was like 4 solid minutes of like instrumental. And I just was like, fuck it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to wait.
Too much of a commitment.
And I don't think I was going to sing it anyway. And Ogopogo was its name.
That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
I know. So yeah, the Ogopogo like name kind of stuck after that. I wonder where they got that from because it's kind of wild. So from doing the research of this, I actually learned that the misappropriation and the commodification of the Nihahaiku and the Syilx people is actually a really sensitive issue to them. And because of this, Kelowna actually no longer actively uses the Ogopogo in like their tourism promotions anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So instead, they've actually shifted into education and teaching on the original story of the Nihahaiku, like, and how it's more of a spirit that protects the lake rather than like a sea monster.
Okay.
So if you come away with anything from today's episode, it's that while this is an interesting story of like Canadian folklore, it's not ours. And we've really spun it into this like different narrative and took something over from another culture, as we love to do. We had no business doing it. So yeah, it's not a monster. It's a lake spirit.
That's so much nicer. What's wrong with us?
And honestly, like all of the stories I've ever heard as a kid and what I've come to research is, other than the few from like the first European like settlers, like none of them are negative. It's always just like sightings. Like I know there's some stories in like other cultures about like monsters of like literally stealing and snatching kids off the shore and stuff. But like this, I've never read anything like that about the Ogopogo. So.
Yeah.
So I like to think that any of those who have witnessed the Ogopogo have just seen the Nihahaiku lake spirit patrolling the lake to keep it safe. And this kind of brings me into the thing I wrote where I said, I don't know about you, but like, honestly, one of the coolest things about doing this podcast and what I've come to love is like just how much I've learned about Canada.
Yeah.
Like that I never would have either known or stumbled across unless I have actively like seek this out, like for doing 100%. Research.
Yeah.
And like, even for the ghost episodes, like I know it's about the ghosts, but I end up doing so much research around like the area and like the history. And it's just like, I'm just floored at what I haven't found out about our own country.
Yeah. Like when we were doing the Kingston one, especially, I was like, this is so cool. Cause I've always loved the Kingston pen and I've always wanted to learn more about it, but I just like never took the time to.
It kind of forces us.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like gave me an excuse to like spend some time on it.
Yeah. Good. All right. So apparently the first encounter was in 1855 from a Métis settler named John McDougall, who was apparently crossing the lake in his canoe with his horses. And I'm assuming they were like tied behind him, just like swimming.
I think horses can swim.
Yeah, but it's like, I believe horses definitely can swim, but like, is that mean? Like that parts of that lake are quite wide. Like,
how cold was it? I feel like that would be my main.
I'm hoping in the summer. It's quite warm.
Yeah.
But yeah, I couldn't find any details. I'm assuming they were just like swimming behind his canoe, which feels cruel to me for some reason.
Ew, there's an image of just a bunch of horse heads sticking out of the water. That's
maybe this is why they think that the Ogopogo had a horse.
Maybe it was just a horse. Oh God.
Used to be wild horses up in that area, honestly.
Probably just a horse.
Yeah. So apparently he had done this trek like a couple times previously without incident. But on this trip, the horses were actually suddenly pulled under the water and he actually had to cut the ropes to prevent his canoe from being sucked under as well. Okay. And he didn't see, there was no mention of him seeing the creature. or anything. It just like the horses just got like sucked under the water, which is kind of creepy. So yeah, so this story might have kind of perpetuated this myth of like a lake monster needing to feast on things. Who knows? However, so that was the first incident from a like a non-Indigenous person. So, however, the first reported sighting, because that last story was like the first incident, I guess, you didn't see anything. The first reported sighting from a non-Indigenous person was said to be by a woman named Susan Allison in 1872, who swears she saw a dinosaur in the water in the lake. And that's the only information I could find about her sighting. Like, so take that with a grain of salt. I know we say this in like every episode, but like when we're doing research for these things, especially the ghost ones, they're like, yep, so this hotel's haunted.
Yep, it happened.
And we're like, all right, like give me some examples. All right. And you like try and find some and they're like, yep, yeah, it's haunted. All right.
Yeah.
You're like,
it's ridiculous.
Tell me how it's haunted. I mean, I'm not expecting a lot of information from an 1872 sighting, but you know, maybe a little more.
You never know.
Yeah. So the next confirmed sighting of the creature was recorded in 1926 when about 30 cars either driving or parked along this like Okanagan beach claimed to all have seen it at the same time. So that's at least like 30 people. I mean, we're thinking cars, so maybe 2 per car. It could be 60, who knows? And I think it's a little crazy that many people saw like the same thing at once. You know? It's hard to discount that. And then in 1947, a ton of boaters out on the lake one afternoon all claimed to see the same creature in the water. They described it as, and I quote, a long, sinuous body, 30 feet in length, consisting of about 5 undulations, apparently separated from each other by about a 2-foot space, in which that part of the undulations would have been underwater. They appeared to be a forked tail, of which only one half came above the water. From time to time, the whole thing submerged and came up again. And if you're like, Ashley, what the hell is an undulation? Because I know I said that when I read that.
Out loud to yourself.
Exactly. I was like, right to Google I went. It's basically how you would describe like the humps in the water. So like, you know, when you think of like a classic sea lake monster drawing, it always shows, it shows like the big, like slithery humps. It's basically that and how it appears to like move up and down in the water.
Ew.
Quote of the day.
Yeah. So I'm going to call the episode.
Yeah.
The slithery humps of Ogopogo.
Yes. I'm down.
Gross. Okay.
Or undulation in itself sounds like a weird word to me. Yeah. So anyways, that's what that means. So we've perpetuated this image of like a snake like body that undulates through the water. I feel like I'm like a word of the day calendar.
Yeah.
Trying to like wedge it in.
Get it in as many times as you can.
And so I say here next, but you know what also kind of looks like that? Waves.
Yeah.
So I'll get into that later when I go into debunking it, because that's what I do, because I don't know how to have fun. I have to shit on everything.
Can't just blindly follow anything.
Yeah.
Got to pick it apart.
Exactly. So I'm not going to get into every sighting because there's been a lot, honestly. Like, and most of them are literally all the same thing. Like seeing this creature with humps near the surface of the water, or off in the distance, or in their boat. Like, basically, it's all the same kind of thing. Like, which doesn't discount like the existence of it. It's just like, I'm not going to get into every single instance. There has been a lot of photographic evidence as well. So we'll put up a few images on the Insta and Facebook page so you can see. But like when you see them, you'll think the same thing. Like it just looks like waves. Like it doesn't look like anything but waves. Like every time I see a video or photo evidence, like internally I'm just screaming, it's just a wave. Oh, and I should mention, and I probably should have mentioned this previously, but there's a specific area on the lake where a lot of these sightings are usually based around. And that's on a small island just off the edge of the lake called Rattlesnake Island.
Ooh.
I'm not sure why it's called Rattlesnake Island. I don't think it's infested with rattlesnakes. even though there are rattlesnakes in the Okanagan Valley. But
I'm out.
Yeah, right. So weirdly enough, when I was doing, because I wanted to see why it was called Rattlesnake Island, and I was trying to find more information. This island used to be privately owned at one point and was kind of being turned into like a theme park in the 1970s. Yeah. And there's still evidence of it. So if you go to this island, you could canoe to it or kayak. You might even be able to swim if you're a strong swimmer. It's not that far offshore. But there's evidence of like a mini putt golf course that's kind of like left behind and kind of rotting, and like just like other buildings that were like half being built. Apparently the BC government wasn't a fan of this development on the island and basically put a stop to it. And the guy, who was an immigrant from Lebanon, was so pissed off at the government for what they did, because basically they took away his loan somehow and like kicked him out of Canada. It was kind of shady. And so he actually took the Canadian embassy in Beirut hostage for like 9 hours.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was like a 9-hour standoff. But in the end, like, you know, after all things done and like court and stuff, he was actually rewarded with, I think, $2,500 or no, $25,000.
I would hope more than 25.
It might be 250,000. I might have missed a zero. I don't know.
Holy.
He was rewarded with money, which is kind of strange for someone who took hostages.
Yeah.
But because of what the BC government did to him, that was not right.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was like doing this research and I was like, what? I have to include this. Like, this is so weird. So anyways, for the whole point of me bringing up Rattlesnake Island is that it's actually said to be the home of the Ogopogo. See, I was going somewhere. I was getting there.
We're there. Circle back.
Yeah. So legend says that this mysterious lake creature lives in cave systems that are like under the island.
Okay.
Who knows? And so coincidentally, because of that, enough of the sightings happen in that area for them to like have this belief. But like, it makes me wonder if like any divers have gone down to just like prove this theory. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine if you were down there and you actually saw something? Like, you would jump out of your skin.
That actually reminds me of my next point. They've actually put an Ogopogo statue somewhere under the water in the lake. I'm not entirely sure where. For divers to find. And like, even if I knew it was there, I think I would probably pee my pants.
Yeah, 100%. It's good that you're in the water, because
exactly.
Yikes.
I've seen pictures of it. I don't know where it is. I probably could find that, but yeah, I've seen it's really eerie because it's like kind of a murky lake. Like,
yeah, just like turn around. It's like right there.
Oh God. Okay, so now we're on to the theories. So right off the bat, my number one explanation for like 99.9% of the sightings are just waves. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna say it's just waves.
Solved. Done.
It's done. Case closed.
See you next time.
Exactly. I've spent a lot of time out on the water. Like, I grew up very thankfully. My stepdad had a boat, and my grandpa's a commercial fisherman. So we had even like when I was a kid, we had a little dinghy we went out on. Like, I've been on lakes my entire life, and I'm just fairly familiar with them. And I can very confidently say like weird shit happens on the water. Like, you can get wind that'll only hit like a small area on the lake, and you can see it like because you can see like the ripples on the lake, and you can watch it glide across the lake, and you're just like preparing to get hit by this burst of wind, and then it just either like stops or it like lifts up and you don't actually feel the wind. It's crazy. Sometimes like wakes from boats too will like ripple over the water forever. Like if the boat has long gone, you don't even see it anymore. Like, it's the effects of like the water still rippling. So, and sometimes too, just like rogue waves will happen. Like, schools of fish could swim and it could cause the water to move. Sometimes lakes even have like extremely shallow spots all of a sudden. So like, think of that as being like a coastline almost. So you get like water that like kind of sweeps up from it.
Right.
Rising gases from lakes is not uncommon, or like natural springs coming up. You get like bubbles and stuff. Like, lakes actually even do something called a seasonal overturn, which is wild. It's usually in the fall when like the water begins to cool, like because it's really warm, and it becomes more dense, so it sinks, and then it kind of just like switches. The water switches, like all the water on the bottom comes to the top, and it it's really creepy when it happens because it makes the lakes really murky, and it stirs up a lot of algae, a lot of like gross stuff. But yeah, like that, and especially the bigger the lake, the more intense the overturn is.
Right.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that there isn't like this like magical ancient spirit creature or whatever, but I feel like there's like a lot more factors.
That
Another
seems to be like the common thing with all of these that we do.
I know.
Like, yeah, okay. Realistically, I don't know.
I feel like it was so easy to believe in things back in the day before like science really came.
Yeah,
and
before Google happened.
Everything. Yeah. Another common thing people speculate is perhaps that like it's just sturgeon in the water. Okay. Now, there isn't really much evidence that there is sturgeon in the lake at all, but it's not uncommon for the area. In fact, not all, but like tons of the rivers and lakes in BC are kind of filled with them.
Okay.
But it's said that the dams that they built in 1920 would have prevented them from being able to return and spawn. So, I mean, that doesn't mean that there isn't any in the lake. It just means like no new ones could return. So what was in there could still be alive. Could they, animals are so extremely adaptable. Like they could have just evolved to remaining in the lake and learning to breed in the lake, not having to leave and come back.
Right.
I mean, sturgeon especially are like dinosaurs to me. Like they live for like 100 years and they can grow up to like 7 feet long.
Yeah, it's wild. Hey,
they terrify me. Terrify me. And the thing with sturgeon is they're extremely reclusive fish. They're bottom feeders and they rarely come to the surface. So while they don't really have much evidence or proof that there is sturgeon in that lake, the lake's so deep, it's so wide, like they just might not be coming up to the surface enough for them to find them.
Right.
So that's my second favorite theory is it's kind of just like we're getting rare glimpse of this fish that we thought didn't exist in that lake anymore.
Right. Is the third one aliens?
No, I don't want to make a name for myself. I got to cut the alien shit out.
Ashley with her tinfoil hat on.
I believe in nothing but aliens, apparently. No, it's dinosaurs. The next theory is dinosaurs.
Okay.
A Paleosaurus, to be exact, is what they think. The rational part of me laughs because it's like dinosaurs, but then I remembered that like alligators and crocodiles and like emus exist.
Right.
Those are literally dinosaurs to me.
Yeah.
The greatest argument for this theory is that we've recently discovered many species we thought to be long extinct, like in the last 100 years, such as the Colalanthic. Should have looked at how it's pronounced. The Colalanthic. I'm just going to spell it out.
Okay.
It's in Animal Crossing for all those who play it. The Colalanthic. Coelacanth. Coelacanthus. Now I sound like I have a lisp. Fish.
Yeah, you do.
Anyways, this fish, they found it in the Indian Ocean in 1938 after thinking it was like extinct. So
coelacanth.
Coelacanth. I was so far off.
I had to Google it.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I was like so convinced. I'm like, I'll get it on the first try. So I feel like finding like living fossils in the ocean's like a lot more plausible because of how big it is, more room to hide. But I mean, I guess that's an option. I think if there was a dinosaur living in the lake, either it's like insanely old and that's like the last of its kind, or it's breeding. And at that point, like, where are all of these dinosaurs if it's breeding,
Yeah.
One of the sources did say, though, and I quote, there are subterranean caves that may connect the lakes to other lakes in the valley, and Ogopogo has been observed in some of these other lakes as well. So, I mean, perhaps maybe there is this like underground highway for these creatures to just kind of like move around from lake to lake to avoid being caught, but I want proof.
Water's so scary to me. Like
it terrifies me.
Oh my God. Like I watch a lot of documentaries about like the ocean and stuff because mostly octopus are in it, and I love octopus.
It's fascinating. It just terrifies me.
Terrifying. Yeah, like it's so deep, and like we don't know what's down there. It's insane.
I swear to God, they discover like a new fish or type of fish or something every day. Like,
yeah, it's wild.
What?
There's so much that we don't know in the ocean.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Like, let's stop exploring space because I can't deal with that on a whole other thing. Let's finish Earth.
Yeah. At least we're like grounded.
Yeah.
Can't do heights, so I'm okay with doing the ocean. Well, I'm okay with other people doing the ocean because I'll
No. I actually went scuba diving. I know it doesn't seem plausible because it's literally the ocean's my biggest fear.
Yeah.
Went scuba diving 3 times to try and get over my fear. Didn't work. Only made it worse.
Oh.
It was so cool though. Like a crazy experience I'd never give up, but it was terrifying.
Yeah.
It was fucking terrifying.
I don't think I could do it. I feel like it'd be like claustrophobic.
It was. It so was. So another theory, and this is the final theory, and like this is what I think it is. It's just animals. We're seeing animals, or they're seeing animals. So like beavers, otters, fish, logs, rocks, waves. I think it's easy to see something and nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
especially if you're looking for it.
Exactly. Have you heard of the term, or I don't know if it's a term, but pareidolia? Have you heard of that before?
No.
So basically it's like a psychological phenomenon that causes people to see patterns in like random things. So like this especially happens if you're staring up at like a
popcorn ceiling.
A popcorn ceiling.
Oh my God, I have that.
Yeah, I think most people experience this. Like for me, we have these tiles in our bathroom that are like granite, but it also has like rock. I hate showering in that fucking shower because I will just be showering and I'll look and I'll just like see a face and I'm like, nope, I'm not seeing that, because sometimes it's like
I do that all the time. That's hilarious.
Exactly. So I think everyone at least experiences that once, or if they haven't, like, well, good for you. You don't have an imagination. Oh my God, I forgot I wrote this down. A great example of this, which always makes me laugh, is a story about how I was a little shit disturber in kindergarten. So we had these like this long shallow sink in our kindergarten class. I don't know. I think it was like you're supposed to fill it up to play with water. I don't know. Anyways, we just washed our hands in it because it was like low. And one day I looked down at the drain and I see what I thought was an alligator looking back at me.
Oh,
with an alligator eye. So I know now as a grown ass adult, it was just like a water droplet in the circle of the drain, like reflecting light. But as a kid, your imagination's like huge. And
you probably heard at some point that there was like an alligator in a toilet.
Or like in the sewer system. I literally wrote, I'm pretty sure I probably heard that, like, you know, there's alligators in the sewers or whatever. So I convinced a whole class that there was an alligator in our sink. Despite the teacher protesting otherwise, like being like, no, you guys, like, please stop, like, come sit down, because we were all gathered around the sink at that point. So I disrupted a full day of learning because I have an active imagination. So all I'm saying is that sometimes we see things we want to see.
Yeah, like alligators.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I hate being so fucking practical now. Like, I just want to blindly believe something for once, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the Ogopogo, or the proper name, which is the Nihahaiku. And let the record state, it's not a monster. It's not a lake monster. It's a lake spirit.
There we go.
Yeah.
Alrighty. So I am doing, I guess they call it a lake monster. But his name is Champ, or Champy, which is adorable.
Champ.
Okay.
Sport.
Yeah.
That's what it makes me think of.
Yeah. So I'll do my sources really quick. I think going forward, we're just going to post the sources in the show notes, because
that's a good idea.
It takes a really long time. So after this episode, if you're curious what our sources, they'll be in the show notes.
Yeah.
I just need you to remember to send them to me for yours.
Good call.
I'm doing it. Okay, so I used Wikipedia, obviously. There's a website called LakeChamplainRegion.com that I used. There's an article on NewYorkUpstate.com called Myths and Monsters of Upstate New York. Do you believe in Champ? It rolls off.
I don't know. Let's see.
I don't know. There's a website called aminoapps.com. There's like an urban legends cryptids page that I used.
Cool.
Reddit.
I didn't even think of Reddit this time.
A comment off of Reddit. And then roadtrippers.com. There was an article I think posted about Champ. So that's that. Okay. I feel like there's a lot of similarities in between ours.
I know. I felt bad because when I went through my theories, I was like, well, this is going to apply.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much, but that's okay. Yeah. Mine's similar to what you did, but mine's mostly just like eyewitness accounts that I took. So it's a little bit different. Okay. Champ is the nickname that was given to the lake monster who supposedly lives in Lake Champlain, which is located in the Adirondacks, which is like New York, Vermont area. And it also goes into Quebec as well. There's like a little like river that goes into Quebec.
That's
so
all
it's still Canadian, it counts. As of right now, there are over 300 reported sightings of Champ that are like recorded.
Wow.
Yeah. So very similar to your story, Indigenous people, including the Abenaki and the Iroquois tribes, have lived around the lake like forever, for as long as we know. I don't know.
Before we were here.
Dates. Yep. Certainly long before we were.
Yeah.
And they have their own legends about the lake monster, which was described as a large horned serpent or giant snake.
It's always a snake serpent.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Water. I mean, it's water.
Yeah. So they called it, and I'm really sorry, I'm not going to pronounce these properly, but Gitaskog. It's Gitaskog.
Okay.
And Tatoskog.
Oh, okay.
So there's that. I don't know. I hope I did those kind of justice. So the Indigenous people were said to have warned the French explorers about disrupting the water so they didn't disturb the serpent that lived there. So most people nowadays, they believe that Samuel Champlain, who was like the lake is named after him. I think we've all learned about him in school. He was the first European to report seeing the monster in the lake. However, he wrote in this needs a little bit of an explanation.
Okay.
He was misquoted in an article in the 1970s.
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Which made most people think that it was like very different than what he actually did see.
Oh no.
But his actual like recording of what he saw is there is also a great abundance of many species of fish. Amongst others, there's one called by the natives Sharuzaru. Yeah. Which is of various lengths, but the largest of them, as these tribes have told me, are from 8 to 10 feet long. I have seen some 5 feet long, which were as big as my thigh, had a head as large as my 2 fists, with a snout 2.5 feet long, and a double row of very sharp, dangerous teeth. Which, I mean, if this thing is real, like that's terrifying. I don't care if it's a lake monster or a fish. Like I don't want.
They're describing a fish or the lake monster.
I guess this Sharuzaru.
Kind of sounds like a pike to me.
Its body has a good deal. Its body has a good deal the shape of the pike.
Oh my god, I'm a fucking fish expert. Yesterday or last week was lake podcasts. Now I'm on fish. See, this is where all the math and physics went. I just replaced it with
just went to fish.
Why fish?
Thanks, Animal Crossing. Okay, so that's just the end of his thing. But it is protected by scales of a silvery gray color and so strong that a dagger could not pierce them.
Ooh.
It makes me think of the basilisk in Harry Potter. I don't know if you're a fan of Harry Potter.
Don't look it in the eye.
That's what I'm picturing. Anyway. So like I said, in 1970, an article published by Vermont Life, which is like a lifestyle magazine in Vermont. Shocking. He was misquoted saying that the creature was a 20-foot serpent thick as a barrel and a head like a horse.
Okay, I'm sorry. Misquoted or just they rewrote what they wanted?
They just made it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Misquoting is like them saying one thing wrong.
Yeah, like that 20-foot serpent thick as a barrel, head like a horse. Anyway, so it's believed that the specific fish that he was referring to was the long-nosed gar. But anyway, I think that's also a fish in Animal Crossing. Now that I think
probably, I don't know. I saw a video of one the other day. They're really big and really creepy looking.
Yeah, are they like thin? Like, are they, like...
Yeah, they look like a really long needle, and their noses like are so long.
Okay, I wonder how they swim. I wonder if they swim in that like
undulated
thing.
Yeah, in undulations.
We're just gonna disprove everything here on this podcast. That's our new goal. Going way back in time, in 1819, a report in the Plattsburgh Republican that was called Cape Ann Serpent on Lake Champlain reported that Captain Crumb, which is a fantastic name, I love that.
Oh, I love that.
Was on Bulwaga Bay when he saw an enormous he saw an enormous serpentine monster that was approximately 187 feet long. That's very specific for an approximate.
Wow.
And was about 200 yards away from him. He said the monster had 3 teeth, and this is gross.
Just 3?
Yeah, just the 3. It was like,
get it a dentist.
And it had eyes the color of peeled onions. Very specific.
What? Is he a poet?
I wrote LOL.
Oh, yellow.
Yeah. He said that its head resembled that of a seahorse and stuck more than 15 feet out of the water.
Okay, so very similar description, like the whole horse serpent thing.
Yeah, it's strange, eh?
Yeah.
He said that it had a belt of red around its neck and a white star on its forehead, which is kind of strange.
Oh, that sounds a little too mythical now.
Yeah, it sounds like you painted a picture, you know?
Yeah.
Like you had a dream.
Lost
and
me
it
there.
was he also said that it was being followed by 2 large sturgeon and a billfish.
It's Posse.
So, yeah.
Wow, yours is so much more of like a description. Like people have actually seen this one so like more.
Yeah, like they've seen it really close up. I'm not 100% sure like how huge this lake is, but I'm not good at realizing that through like Google images and stuff.
The only reason I know how big like that Lake Okanagan is really big is because I've been there.
yeah, for sure. So jumping ahead a little bit, that one was 1819. We're now in 1873. A New York Times story was published that said that a railroad crew had seen the head of an enormous serpent in Lake Champlain, and it had bright silvery scales that glistened in the sun. So
Sounds beautiful.
If it was a whole, like, kind of similar to your story, like a whole crew saw it.
Yeah,
must have been
so hard to disprove that. Like, what did they see then? You know?
Yeah, like I'm curious if they saw it like moving or if it was just like floating. Because if it was just floating, it could have been like a piece of metal. Like,
like a log that's wet.
Yeah.
Like it's so like one of their railroad ties that they're they're all in the booze.
So also in 1873, a steamship called the WB Eddy was reported to have run into Champ, nearly causing the ship to turn over.
Oh my God.
So like it must be big or a tree. I think it's logs.
Or maybe the lake got shallow.
Yeah.
Yours has so much more activity.
I know. There's tons of sightings of it. It's crazy. So this next one I read in 2 different places that it happened in 2 different years. So one of them said it would happen in 1873, which is the same as the last 2 stories. And one said it was in 1883. So I'm not really sure when it actually happened.
Okay.
But Sheriff Nathan Mooney said that he saw a water serpent about 110 yards from where he was standing on the shore of Lake Champlain. He said it was so close he could see round white spots inside its mouth and that it appeared to be 25 to 30 feet long. So that's kind of scary.
So it had its mouth open.
I guess,
teeth it had.
Maybe the white spots were teeth.
Yeah, true.
Okay, this is kind of cool. So apparently P.T. Barnum from the Barnum and Bailey, like the circus.
Oh my God,
which circus. Like, have you watched Greatest Showman yet? Because that's one of my favorite movies. Oh my God, you need to watch it.
I watch enough TikTok that I know like half the sounds.
You could probably do a whole dance from TikTok. Yeah,
exactly.
So I guess P.T. Barnum, he heard about Champ and he offered a $50,000 reward to anyone who could bring him the monster so he could add it to his Mammoth World Fair show.
He would.
Yeah, he definitely would.
I think in my story too, there's still a $10,000 reward if you can like
10,000. That's not.
I know. It's like an old. I don't think like Kelowna like wants to perpetuate that, but it's still there.
Okay, so now we're more modern. In 1977, Sandra Mancy was on vacation with her family when she took a photo of what appeared to be the monster's head sticking out of the lake. It's noted that where the photo was taken, the water was no deeper than 14 feet. So many people think it was just like a tree trunk or a log sticking out of the water.
That's always
this is like the most famous photo.
We'll post this one on Facebook and Insta as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I've seen this one.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've seen this picture and it looks so much like a little dinosaur.
It does look like a little dinosaur.
But I guarantee you that is a tree, like a branch, just all twisted.
Yeah. I'm sure like if anybody's done any research on like lake monsters, you've probably seen this photo because I've seen it for like ever. It honestly, there's like if you Google just like Champ Lake Monster, there's like drawn images of this image and it looks like a loon. Like it's kind of weird.
That's true. I know one of the famous photos that I'm not including in mine that someone took. They debunked it into being like a beaver because of its tail, the way that its tail was up.
Right.
There was another picture of a beaver doing the same thing. So
yikes. Okay, it's not even.
Yeah, this picture is like the famous lake monster other than like the Nessie one.
Yeah. So there's that. Proof.
Proof. Quote unquote.
Yeah. Another eyewitness account was in either 1981 or 1982. A husband and wife, they were newlyweds. They can't agree on the date, which I think is adorable.
So typical.
Yeah. Steve and Sue Lackey, they were out on the lake in actually the same spot as Captain Crumb in the Bulwaga Bay. And it was a calm, sunny day. Sue remembers seeing something silently coming out of the water, which like the idea of that is terrifying to me.
Yep.
She said it wasn't a hose, it wasn't an eel, but it was something that humped.
Undulated. We have a word for it.
She said that it was rounded and you couldn't see under it. She said that it came up and down into the water, and then there were 2 of them and then 3 of them.
Ooh,
I don't know if she means like actual creatures or if she means like humps coming out of the water.
Oh, maybe
that
like
wasn't super clear, so I don't know. I guess she said to her husband, "That's Champ," and he just sat there and looked at her. Like he was like, "You're fucking crazy." Like, what are you talking about? I just think that's adorable. That's
Did
very
you eat
much
those
like
cookies on the counter that I told you not to?
It's very much like a husband and wife dynamic.
Oh yeah.
Like, okay, whatever you say, honey. Okay, so this one is also maybe in 1981. So in Port Henry, in New York, they declared their waters a safe haven for Champ, which is so cute.
Oh.
And then following closely in 1982, the state of Vermont passed a House resolution protecting Champ. And in 1983, New York State Assembly and State Senate passed resolutions protecting Champ.
Can I just say that they're really quick to pass like laws to protect mythical creatures over ones that exist? How many animals are going extinct, and we're like, let's give the unicorn a go.
I know.
No one can touch those.
I know. It's a little ridiculous, but it's also kind of cute.
It's cute.
Like it.
It's
cute.
Like
how the mayor of Ottawa like made Santa like he like declared Santa okay to go to people's houses because he was immune from COVID. So cute. I love that.
That is cute. See, that's for like the enjoyment of children. I feel like this is like politicians
this is like
being like
grown ass men.
We saved them. Yeah. It's like, it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Let's save the turtles.
Who needs turtles?
The turtles.
We got our own Nessie over here.
Exactly.
We're good. Okay. So in 2003, a sound recording was taken from the Fauna Communications Research Institute while they were at the lake working on a Discovery Channel program. And the sound was described to be similar to beluga whales or dolphins.
Oh, that's creepy.
Neither of which are said to live in the lake. So eventually we'll get to this, but somebody else like took an audio recording of what they think is Champ. I mean, it's not very exciting. No. Like, if I can figure out how to like save it and stuff, I'll insert it right now into the podcast. It's sorry.
I think audio stuff like that is a questionable source, because like the 3% of people who are like actually marine biologists are gonna be like, oh yeah, I don't know what that is, that's crazy, and everyone else is gonna be like, sounds like water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. In 2005, fisherman, first name is Dick Affolter,
okay,
and his stepson Pete Baudet took a video of what looks like a head and neck of the same dinosaur. I was trying to figure out where in my story it was the same dinosaur as yours.
Oh, a paleosaur or whatever.
Yeah. They said it was paleosaur-like animal with an open mouth. It says it looks like an eel with its mouth closed. So like with its mouth open, it looks completely different, I guess. But
weird.
In 2016, so we're getting more recent now, cryptozoologists Katie Elizabeth and Dennis Hall suggested that Champ could be part of the crocodile family because tracks were found near the lake that resembled that of an alligator or crocodile, whatever.
I mean, there are freshwater ones. So.
Yeah. Another smart person I wrote, Scott Martis, who's a researcher, he suggests that those tracks were probably made by a large snapping turtle, which kind of makes sense to me.
Oh, yeah. Okay, quick aside. When I moved to Ottawa, I haven't seen one yet, but I have heard like snapping turtles are here in the Ottawa River and stuff. And I'm like, am I the only idiot am I the only idiot that thought snapping turtles was like a Florida thing? Like a tropical country. Like, I was blown away when I found out snapping turtles were over here.
We do have turtles for sure. Like there's in certain areas, like if you go like way west end, there's like signs posted like to watch for turtles between like May and June because they're always crossing the roads. Yeah,
I'm just because there's no snapping turtles in BC, so I was just like, what? Like for some reason to me that's like a warm weather creature.
Yeah, I mean we do have warm weather, but we also have minus 40.
Exactly. Anyways, I just had to
turtles
admit to my stupidity again.
So Scott Martis, who's a researcher, he also believes that the long-nosed gar or the lake sturgeon are probably what people think are the lake monster. So Katie and theories. Yeah, so exactly. It's very similar to your story with like what it could actually be. So Katie and Dennis were the ones that also took the audio of it's supposed to be of Champ's echolocation. And it's
probably just like boats or something.
It's I don't know.
Something.
It's something. It's nothing exciting, I could tell you that.
Yeah.
So Reddit user Mid-South Mystic posted a comment just like on a thread about Champ, saying my personal
why do we have lisps today?
I don't know. My personal hypothesis, I can never say that word, is that Champ is a small population of false killer whales that found their way inland and have remained in the lake since. The echolocations recorded in the lake sound similar to that of false killer whales. I had never heard of those before, which look serpentine and prehistoric. Cryptozoology to stop jumping to the coolest option and go with the most likely one instead. So I looked up false killer whales.
Yeah, I just Googled it.
They're like thin, like, I feel like they're probably like wiggly when they move.
And when its mouth is open, it's kind of like eel-like. And like I could see counting teeth, like someone being like, there's 3 teeth.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was an old one the guy saw or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a cool theory.
Yeah, that's definitely possible. I don't know.
Interesting.
So now I kind of touched on this earlier, but Champ is like celebrated by locals like crazy. More specifically in like Vermont and New York rather than in Quebec because it's Quebec. Sorry. I apparently just hate Manitoba and Quebec. I'm very sorry. So Vermont has a baseball team that's known as the Lake Monsters and has a cute little Champ mascot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, and there's also a statue of Champ by the water in Port Henry, New York. And there's a historical marker on the shore of Clinton County to honor Champ, which is cute. But yeah, anyway, I thought that one about the false killer whales, I thought that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that one, like, I mean, I don't know how far off this is from the ocean, but like the ocean was a lot higher at one point, or I don't know. I'm making things up at this point, but I feel like maybe that is a really plausible explanation.
Yeah.
Also, I think like long-nosed gars and sturgeons are also
and, like tree trunks.
and definitely and waves and
I think it's just a combination of things, and people want to see like weird stuff, you know.
I think we want like magic in the world, you know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I
just think it's interesting though that like this is happening around the world, like this idea of like lake serpents, like it's not just these two instances. Like, of course, there's the Loch Ness monster, and then I'm guarantee you there's other countries that have like their own lake serpents and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like I saw a video the other day of like, I'm assuming it was somewhere in the Amazon, of like this snake, like an anaconda, I'm assuming. And it was like that guy described like a body like a barrel. Like it was huge.
I can't do it. I saw like a gardener, is that what it's called? A gardener snake at my parents' house last year. And I cried. Like, I can't do snakes.
I don't like snakes either. I really don't.
I didn't realize I was afraid of snakes until a couple summers ago. And Michael was playing disc golf. And like a snake went by just like, I don't know, 10 feet in front of me. And I couldn't move. Like I was like frozen. Oh no. He's like, are you afraid of snakes? And I was like, I guess. I don't know. I've never really been around
We've discovered. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like snakes. Yeah. I remember another Thailand story, but when we were in Thailand, we were supposed to go do this like trek through the woods when we were in like the northern part. And honestly, like the day or two before, I actually like fell off a curb and like sprained my ankle. So I had to like not do this trek because it was like 2 days of walking camp and then like 2 days walking back or whatever. And I was like, no, I can't. Like my ankle was like swollen. And two of our friends ended up going, and they told us when they got back, I was so glad I didn't end up going on this trip, because they said at one point, just before they reached the camp, they actually were told to stop, and they had to sit and wait for hours because I guess there was like a cobra that had been seen in the camp. And I like, I forgot that like other countries have crazy creatures. And I was like, there's cobras here.
That's not a fake animal.
Yeah. Like for some reason cobras are like India, like
yeah.
And then two, like they killed the cobra, everything, whatever. And then later on she said like this camp was just infested with like tarantulas and they had to sleep there for 2 nights. And I was like, I probably would have just died.
Yeah.
I cannot do snakes or spiders, and that would have been the worst. I'm like so grateful I fucked up my ankle.
Yeah, really. It's a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I was like, thank you, weak ankles.
Yeah, that's terrifying. I could never, like, I can't do any spider. Like Michael knows my yell when there's a spider in the house, and he's like up the stairs like halfway before I even tell him there's a spider. Like I can't.
I don't like spiders. I don't like bugs. I don't like a lot of things.
Anything like creepy and crawly, not into it.
Yeah, no.
Not into it at all.
But yeah, I think I'm so skeptical and cynical, but like I like to think that like maybe there is creatures we haven't discovered yet that live in our lakes.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Like,
right?
It's insane.
And I don't know. I just think that there's too many stories with similar looking creatures.
Yeah,
across the world and in the ocean, like
yeah, for sure. I think I definitely think there's like logical explanations for a lot of this stuff,
yeah,
it's still fun.
It's fun
to read about,
and it's fun to talk about and learn and make fun of people for their
100%
what they think they saw.
Welcome to this podcast. That's what we do.
We also make fun of ourselves. Sometimes we just edit that out because it's a little much.
Sometimes we just have to cut down the laughing to like 5 minutes when we can't pronounce an easy word.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I love it. That was fun.
It was. What do we have for next week? I think we're back to ghosts.
We're back to ghosts. And I think we need to do Manitoba to apologize.
Yes, okay.
We're too hard on them.
Weird. It's just me. I'm sorry.
I lived there, so I feel like I get a pass.
Yeah. Yeah, you have like direct experience. I just shit on them for literally no reason.
I mean, I was a grade 3, so
yeah.
Yeah, so we'll do some ghosts in Manitoba. Yay. You better have some good stories. You better redeem yourself, Manitoba.
Yeah, Manitoba.
It's your fault. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. If you want to follow us, we're on Instagram at Locked in a Closet Pod, Twitter at LIAC Pod, and on Facebook at Locked in a Closet Podcast.
Also, we'd love it if you would share your spooky stories with us. You can email us at lockedinaclosetpod@gmail.com, and we'll share them in a future episode.
All right, guys. Until next time.
Keep on creeping on.